It's spring and my lawn is in dire need of some help. Last year I dethatched and reseeded it and looked really nice, but apparently I didn't do a good enough job with weed control because all my grass died and have a lot of bare spots. So what I went ahead and did is I threw down some tenacity several days ago, about a week ago, and it's working its way into its soil and killing a lot of the weeds. And right now I am scalping my lawn. It's still a little bit wet, it's a little bit muddy, but it is what it is. It's the only time I really can do it. And I have my Honda lawnmower at the lowest setting, and I'm gonna go ahead and scalp my whole lawn. After I do that, I'm gonna come with Scarifier, do 2 passes, really do a review on that Dethatcher slash Scarifier, and just kind of let you know. In the past, I've done just a few passes over here, and as you can tell, I have some bamboo and I have a couple bamboo roots back over there. And whenever the previous Sun Joe Dethatcher or Scarifier would hit those roots, the impact of the blades hitting the roots would pretty much just break that motor. So I'm hoping that this time around with the new Scarifier, it's a little bit more powerful, and that when I hit those roots underneath the ground, just about an inch, it's barely an inch under the ground, the Scarifier would eat it up and move forward with no problem. So we'll see if that works. Alright, I just finished scalping my lawn and I'm about to dethatch or scarify, but there's things you want to watch out for. Like little areas like this. This is downspouts from my gutters that kind of come through here, so you do not want to scarify through that. You want to watch out for items like this too. This is my sump pump, so I don't want to go ahead and scarify over this. One thing I noticed about this adjuster is there's these 3 little humps, 3 little notches right here. You can see the arrow. The arrow's pointing to touch you, to let you know the best or optimal height. So I'm putting it right in the middle. So it has it on both of its sides. So a little tip is just look for those 3 little black humps right there and just line up an arrow, and I'll kind of give you the best idea where to adjust it to. All right, initial startup. Alright, so this is typically where my previous Sun Joe, the 13-inch 12-amp one, would break down. I will typically hit like a bamboo, something like that, that's right in the ground, and then the blade will hit it and then will cease to work. So as of right now, I hit it and this thing just broke through it like a champ. So far so good. Here's another one, bamboo root right inside, and this thing went right through it, no problem, didn't break. So this Sun Joe, I love it. So far so good. Well, I made it through 40% of my lawn and it gave out. So I have a bungee cord set up so you can see it, what happened. So this is exactly what happened to my previous Sun Joe. Now the motor does turn, but the second it feels any resistance, it stops working. So let me start it. So yep, 40% of my lawn. I guess it's nowhere better than the previous Sun Joe. This is my 3rd Dethatcher. I've already gone to 2 13 inches and this 15-inch pretty much gave out. I guess the electric Scarifier just can't put up with bamboo roots. I made it up to around this area right there, hit 2 more roots and bam, it stopped working. So I guess what I could do is I could warranty out and just not Scarify around there, but that's where I feel I need it the most, and I can just do the rest of my yard. So here I am, 40% done. This part has not been scarified. I got no choice but to overseed. I can't really wait another 2 weeks and then have to do this all over again. I took the day off really to do this today, and I'm gonna go ahead and just finish the job with half of a dethatched scarified lawn and half of just a scalp lawn. I do have an aerator manual plug. I do have an aerator that I'll just use. It just does 2 plugs at a time. So I'll do that for the rest of the lawn and just remove all this surface layer thatch that just came out of the Scarifier, and just hose that thing down and just think about what it is I want to do, whether it's warranty it out or just return it back to Amazon. You got to understand, in my circumstances it's different. I have a rough terrain lawn. This Sun Joe is probably putting up with a lot more than they typically would in a regular lawn. But you know, everybody's lawn is different. Some people have rocks inside their lawns that they don't know about. They may have like a sprinkler from a previous owner that they don't know about. And those are things you got to watch out for, because if your dethatcher hits it, the likelihood is it's not going to survive. Mine survived about maybe 5 roots. It was on a 6th root that all of a sudden it just gave out. All right, so here's my final thoughts on this. Unfortunately, I had a bad experience with this, but I'm not faulting the Scarifier, the Dethatcher. I'm merely faulting my yard. I think I was asking a little bit too much of this to pretty much scarify a backyard that has bamboo roots. I should have known better than that to do that. And it was just pushing this to its limits. Now, I really wanted something that will cut into those roots and reduce those runners, those bamboo runners. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with it. Many years ago, before I even moved to this house, one of the neighbors planted some bamboo and it just ran across. And we actually quite like that bamboo. It gives us a lot of privacy. I actually do quite like it, but it's difficult to control. And I know there's ways to mitigate that, and that's really for another video. But in any case, I really wanted something to kind of dig in to scarify and dethatch that area, because it just has a lot of runners, and I had a lot of thatch and a lot of yard junk in the soil. In the Scarifier, what it's supposed to do is it goes several inches into the dirt and it's supposed to kind of pull up all that stuff. And when it hits those roots, it just was just too much to ask for this Dethatcher Scarifier. However, here's my opinion. If I were to use this as a dethatcher and use it properly as a dethatcher, meaning not putting at the lowest settings, but putting at the settings, the height that it's supposed to be, I'm sure that this thing would work great. In my front yard, I would never use a Scarifier. In my front lawn, it's really nice. I typically would use a dethatcher. It's just only for my backyard. But in any case, you know, it was a fail for me. It's the same experience I had with my previous 2 13-inch Scarifier dethatchers, and same thing with this one. So let me just not dissuade you on this. This thing is actually pretty awesome. Unfortunately, I didn't get a lot of time to use it because now it's broken, but in the little bit of time that I did use it, it felt sturdier. The 13-inch was just a lot wobblier. It was a little bit less easy to maneuver. I just felt like this one was easier to maneuver. I have an initial impression video, but let me just go really quickly with things I really like about this honeycomb pattern over here, and excuse this water. But anyways, this honeycomb pattern makes this very rigid and just provides a lot of rigidity to this. It just feels sturdier when you're like moving it up and down, less wobbly. And that's really cool that they added this. This portion right here, I really do like this. The fact that it's just secure and you're able to adjust it up and down on the height. The other one, the previous one, was non-adjustable, and it had one little metal screw into plastic. It was very wobbly and weak. And I feel that this is a much better solution to what they had before. And this handle here, this feels much more robust, much more better quality than the 13-inch model before. This one is just much more sturdier. And then it's 15 inches, so it's 2 inches wider, so meaning you're able to do less passes when you do the whole lawn. And it does have a 13 amp motor, where the previous 13-inch, I believe, only has a 12 amp motor. So that 1 amp difference, I don't know. It's subjective, but I feel like it makes a difference. I feel like this motor is more powerful. It's so powerful, it felt like a self-propel Scarifier, because the thing was just pulling itself along. Again, it's just in my unfortunate area, I have a very unique lawn, and I was just probably asking too much for this. I mean, this thing is a beast. I mean, I really do want to keep this as a dethatcher, especially for my front lawn. So I've learned my lesson not to use this as a Scarifier in my backyard. I can use it as a Scarifier in my front lawn because I don't have any roots or anything like that. But you know, honestly, I probably would never use a Scarifier. I only really specifically wanted to use it in the backyard in that one little area. But hey, I'll just scratch that, use it just as a dethatcher, make sure I use it correctly as a dethatcher, and this thing will be a beast. So if you have a 13-inch Sun Joe Dethatcher and nothing's wrong with it and it's still working, keep it. There's really no reason to upgrade it unless you do a lot of dethatching. If you only dethatch once or twice a year and you have the 13-inch, that's more than good enough. However, if you happen to be An individual who dethatches a lot more, that extra 2 inches does make a difference. So maybe you should upgrade to the 15-inch. If you're in a market for one, go for this one over the 13-inch, because in the long run, you'll be able to dethatch your lawn at a faster pace than you're able to do it with the 13-inch. And it's just much better quality overall. I mean, I would say the mechanism that they use internally, and I haven't opened it apart, but it's my opinion, my guess that the mechanism is very similar. What happened to this essentially is there's some gears inside that I think it's stripped because it does turn. The Scarifier, the wheel, the element does turn, but when it's under load, it doesn't turn anymore. So, and that's exactly what happened to my 13-inch when it happened to the 15-inch. So the motor is more robust, but the gear mechanism, whatever they use, the design, I suspect very highly it's pretty much the same, and it's susceptible to stripping out just like the 13-inch. So that's no more robust than it was before. But definitely, if you're in the market for a dethatcher, go for the 15-inch over the 13-inch. It's just my opinion. Unless you have a really small yard, then really, yeah, you could stick with the 13-inch. Now, hopefully this was helpful for individuals out there who are interested in it. Please don't let my situation dissuade you from purchasing this really cool dethatcher.